Okay, it did. All right. Sorry, I hope it didn't. Did it just completely tank the stream in its entirety? Did I cut out completely? I'm back. I don't know if it tanked the entire stream, but yeah, that was certainly not a problem with IRL. That was my issue. Anyway, we're gonna go to Bernie Sanders in Brooklyn right now, alongside Zohran Mamdani, and I'm gonna post a we're going live watching Bernie and Zohran tweet right now. That was my internet.
You, Brooklyn
I had to connect to the bag.
What an honor. What an honor it is to be here with you today. Can we hear a round of applause for Luis? And a round of applause for incredible elected officials that we have here from the city, the state, the federal level who are here with us tonight. And for Brooklyn College, and when I sit next to Senator Sanders, I always have to ask, is labor in the house? Is PSC CUNY in the house?
Oh my God, right on cue. Well, how is this possible?
I cannot begin my remarks this evening without first acknowledging
all right,
PSC
spam
CUNY,
it, spam it, spam it. Let the people know I'm back. I'm back. I'm
here.
live. I'm alive. Let's go.
And
I've got
the fact that no faculty member should be disciplined for supporting Palestinian human rights. And I want to thank PSC CUNY for standing alongside their rank and file. And it is an honor to be here alongside Senator Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders. And I just want to share what Bernie has meant to me. It was Bernie's campaign for the presidency in 2016 that gave me the language of democratic socialism to describe my politics. And
he talked about Palestine as soon as I left.
It was Bernie's Queensbridge rally on October 19,
I missed it.
2019. That was the first political event of my campaign for state assembly.
I'll see it in a second. I'll look back at it after the speech is over.
Unbeknownst to Bernie and his team, we were canvassing the line to get into his rally. We're asking for $1, $5, $10, emails, whatever we could. And we did that, and we walked inside to this rally, and I remember the electrifying feeling we felt of a campaign reborn and a movement reborn alongside every single borough of this city. And when Bernie walked out to Back in Black by AC/DC, those who were there remember, we felt as if possibility was a fact of life. And his campaign continued to inspire so many of us. And as I ran for state assembly for the many months beyond that, we continued to look to him and his campaign and his vision as the compass for the work that we wanted to do in electoral politics. And we knew that while everyday New Yorkers did not care very much for a New York State Assembly race, that if we just had a
This is where
watch
we were
party
supposed
for
to
a
be
Bernie
there like
debate, we
this
could
in the
finally get
crowd.
them.
Me and Marchie Poo.
We could just get them if we said it was about Bernie. And I share this because I know that for so many here, it is a similar story.
He said no faculty members should be
It is a
disciplined for
similar
standing for
story
Palestinian lives and thank their union for
of
backing
seeing
them.
yourself in a movement, in a campaign,
Why
in
aren't
a
we?
politics
I mean, it was
that
short
you were
notice.
told for so long was impossible.
The Bernard team hit me up too short notice for us to make the travel arrangements and accommodations.
Now we know, brother, I'm here with another democratic socialist.
Oh, people are yelling.
Thank you, my friend.
Where the fuck? I want to see the crowd, man, or just show them.
You know that something has changed when it's not enough to call us democratic socialists anymore. Because
I think they were
knows
they were heckling,
what we
but in
know,
a I assume like
which is that
pro-Palestine heckling.
the fight for each and every person to live a dignified life is a fight that is very popular across this country.
Or is it right wing? I don't know if it was a hog.
Many of you here, and myself included, we first knew of Bernie as a senator, as a candidate for president.
Oh, I thought it was a.
But before that, Bernie was the mayor of Burlington. A 4-term mayor. And in the same year that Ronald Reagan won, not just the presidency, but the state of Vermont, Bernie was in his 30s, a democratic
he was
socialist,
a hog. You said communist
running
moron.
against someone who had been powerful and well known for years,
Uh-oh.
an opponent who struggled to pronounce his last name. There are some parallels. And Bernie won that race by 10 votes. And then he won again, and he won again, and he won again. And the motto of not just Bernie's campaign, but governance was Burlington is not for sale. And it is a motto that drove the work that he did when he fought back against corporate greed to transform the Lake Champlain waterfront not simply into testaments to profit, but instead a living, breathing testament to what is possible for investing in working people. When he fought for affordable housing, when he took on a broken property tax
My
system,
friend
when
who
he
said,
continued to show
who's there said
what it
apparently they
looked
shut
like
it.
for
I stand
city
with
government
Israel.
to
Oh, okay,
understand
so it was a
dignity
right-wing
as
heckler.
its responsibility. That is how Bernie fought. And we know that in that motto of Burlington is not for sale, we see echoes in our own struggle today, where we have
called
to
them
say
communists.
that New York City is not for sale. New York City is not for sale to Donald Trump's billionaire donors. It is not for sale to corporations like DoorDash. It is not for sale to corrupt politicians like Andrew Cuomo. And Bernie has continued to lead in this movement, going from Burlington is not for sale to fighting back against oligarchy coast to coast in this country. And that fight, not just against oligarchy, but for democracy, is a fight that has energized tens of thousands of Americans across this country. It has shown once again that politics is something that can be powered by ordinary people, with not just a rejection of authoritarianism, but a belief in what is possible as well. And we know that that oligarchy has an impact right here in New York City. We know it does because when Donald Trump ushered through his so-called big beautiful bill, he did so ushering through the greatest wealth transfer in American politics. His legislation will throw millions of New Yorkers off of their health care. For a man who campaigned on cheaper grocery prices, it will cut SNAP benefits for the hungriest among us.
They had to kick out Sneeko?
And all
That's
of
crazy.
this to give more money to those who already have more than they know what to do with. That is the fight that we are seeing taking place here. The interconnectedness of an attack on working people, all to enrich those same billionaire donors that gave us Donald Trump's second term. That is the fight that unites us across this country in this moment. A fight where we make clear that this is a city where we will choose our own mayor. It's not going to be Donald Trump. It's not going to be Bill Ackman. It's not going to be DoorDash.
Bill
We
Crackman.
will choose our mayor. And we know that this fight is not an easy one. It was not an easy fight for
Bro, is
Bernie
he
when he
dead?
led
What the
Burlington.
hell? Bernie is looking
It was a
not
fight
great.
that took every single thing, every single day. But are you committed to continue this fight? I need to know, are you committed to continue this fight? Because I want to be clear, we are not just here together with the message to come out and vote in November, though that is critically important. We will continue to organize beyond the election. We will continue to organize because we have an agenda to win. The promises we have made are promises we must keep. And so together we will freeze the, make buses fast and deliver universal. We will freeze the, make buses fast and deliver universal.
Got to work on that a little bit.
We will do these things and we will do them together.
Not the best chant, I'm going to be honest. Doesn't feel like the most efficient way to chant.
If anyone tells you that after you cast your vote, you have done your job, tell them it is just the beginning. It is just the beginning.
I like this.
Because in a city where 1 in 4 are living in poverty, in a city where for the 9th consecutive year 100,000 children in our school system are homeless, in a city where 500,000 of those children go to sleep hungry every single night, it will take all of us to ensure that dignity is not only possible, but it is a reality for each and every New Yorker. And one of the many things that we love about Bernie is you could go to any year that he has been in politics and you will find him saying the same thing. The same thing.
Sometimes it's not so good.
No
that he's
matter
saying
if the
same
photo
thing, you know?
is in black and white or it's in color. You know it's about income inequality, it's about justice, it's about dignity. But today, Bernie said something to me that no man is an island. We are all in this struggle because someone brought it to us. And as we remember that, we must know that now it is also our turn to not only join this struggle, but to lead this struggle. It is a time for all of us to see ourselves as the people who could deliver the world that we deserve. And in this moment, we must make clear, this is an intergenerational struggle. This is a struggle, not just for some, not just for the young, not just for the few, not just for those in the beginning of their lives and their careers. This is a struggle for everyone. It is a struggle for everyone because it is about everyone. We talk about our vision. It is a vision of universality. It is not one where we ask you your name, where we ask you where you were born, where we ask you your religion, where we ask you your status. We simply ask you to join us. That is our question. And so it is an honor to be here alongside an icon of our struggle. And also, we know that Bernie once famously said, if you want someone to wish you happy birthday, that's not me. But he also said, not me, us. And on Monday, it will be Senator Sanders' birthday, and I ask you to join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I need your help with my voice. Happy birthday,
He's turning 125 years old, dude. Can you believe it? Doesn't look a day over 100, though. Doesn't look a day over.
And now the senator from the great state of Vermont, Bernie Sanders!
Oldest man alive.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it is an honor and privilege to be with you this evening and to congratulate the next mayor of the city of New York, on an extraordinary campaign. This guy started at 2% in the polls, and he blew away the opposition. And what was most extraordinary about his primary campaign and the campaign he is running right now is his campaign is not ugly 30-second TV ads. It is a grassroots movement, which you have been part of. I don't know, Zaran, if it's a world record or not, but having 50,000 volunteers in a mayor's election, pretty good to me.
Bernie's going to run in 2028, I hope you say? I hope not. He
Now,
is too
as
old.
part of our Fighting Oligarchy tour, which Zaran is joining me on tonight, we have now been to 21 states. We have done 35 events for over 300,000 people from Maine to California. And what I can tell you without any fear of hesitation is the American people in red states and in blue states do not want to live in an oligarchic society. They do not want to live in an authoritarian society. They do not want the White House to be practicing unprecedented kleptocracy. And they sure as hell do not want to see a continuation of the oligarchs' war against the working class of this country. And what Saran's campaign is about is an understanding that today we are living in an unprecedented moment in the modern history of our country, and we have got to fight back in an unprecedented way. So let me say a few words. Let me just say a few words about what's going on in this country. Thoughts I think you're not going to see in corporate media, you're not going to hear in the halls of Congress. Today in America, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of America. Saran just talked about children in New York City and in Vermont who are hungry, people who are homeless, and yet the wealthiest 1% have never had it so good. If you can believe it, today you have, and it's important that we feel the outrage of children going hungry, people being homeless, 85 million without health care, and you got one guy, Mr. Musk, whose own wealth is more than the bottom 52% of American households. And you may have seen in the papers, they want to give him a little bonus. Another $800–900 billion. We are living in crazy world. Millions of people struggling to put food on the table, and making one guy a trillionaire is insane. Not what this country is supposed to be about, and we are not going to allow that to happen. But it's not only income and wealth inequality. Today you have more concentration of ownership in America in every major sector: financial services, transportation, agriculture, media. You got a handful of giant corporations that determine what is produced, how workers are treated, and what you pay for those products. But it's not just income and wealth inequality. It is not just a small number of people controlling our economy. You have 6 major media conglomerates that control in this country what 90% of our people see, hear, and read.
What is this fucking delay, bro?
It is not an accident, brothers and sisters, that Mr. Musk owns Twitter. Not an accident that Mr. Zuckerberg owns Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook. Not an accident that Mr. Ellison recently bought Paramount, which owns CBS. Not an accident that Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post and Twitch. Not an accident that our good friend Rupert Murdoch owns the New York Post.
Bernard, chill.
Wall Street Journal, and right-wing publications all over the world. Bottom line, never before in American and in fact world history have so few people had so much wealth
let's not bring up Twitch
power. And with this development of AI, which is a whole world unto itself,
Right-wing grifter HasanAbi
they're going
exposed
to
by
have,
Bernard.
unless we stop them, more concentration of ownership
Yes,
and more
I,
power.
I, I
But
do
it's
benefit
not
from the
just
Bezos bucks. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by
that
you, the
these
viewers, for you, the
guys
viewers. Subscribe with Twitch Primes.
And that is what we're seeing and what makes this particular
As Ludwig called
campaign
attention to, I was farming
of
Twitch subs, he
interest
said.
worldwide.
Twitch Primes, he said, when he
These
tuned in.
guys control,
Which is so crazy for someone like Ludwig to say. He is
especially
Mr.
since the
Twitch Prime
disastrous
Farm.
Citizens United Supreme Court decision. We have a situation where it is perfectly
crazy.
legal for billionaires to set up super PACs and spend hundreds and hundreds
Hot
of
takes,
millions
Zoran
of
is more
dollars
charismatic and contagious than Bernie. Yeah,
supporting
no shit.
candidates who
He's
protect
also
the interests of the
much
rich
younger.
and defeating candidates who are trying to
PBS
represent
Prime Bezos
working
subscriptions
families.
is true.
So in other words, what you are seeing now is an oligarchy with enormous economic power and enormous political power in both political parties.
Zoran is almost literally a third of Bernie's age, so it makes sense.
And what this campaign is about and why it is so enormously important, is it a test case? It is a test case of whether or not democracy is still able to prevail. You know, in the old days, I mean, money has always played an enormous role in politics. Nothing new about that. But
Thank
in
you,
the old days, they
Decoy166
kinda
for the
kept
5
it
gifted
secret.
subs. The Piker Broadcasting
Right now,
Service is funded by you, the
you've got
viewers, for you, the
people
viewers.
like
Hype
Bill
train
Ackman and
incoming.
others saying openly, front pages of the newspapers, we will spend as much as it takes to defeat this guy. You have the President of the United States working to make it harder for him to get elected. So what are these people, these oligarchs,
Kona, thank you for the 10.
afraid of? Seems to be a nice guy, dresses very nice, beautiful smile.
Damn, he wants to fuck him.
Unlike me, he's a pleasant guy. What the hell are they afraid of? And what they are afraid of, brothers and
Is our guy
sisters,
Fly?
is not
I ship myself in
only
Hamburg.
the question
Thank you
of
for the
bringing
5
justice
gifted.
to New York
Zy
City. You know
Fly,
what
thank you for the
they're
10.
afraid of? They're afraid of Mr. Mamdani becoming an example to what can happen all over this country. That's what this campaign is about. They are scared to death. If 50 or 70,000 people in New York City can get involved in the political process, that means that millions of people coast to coast can get involved and elect progressive leaders. That's what this campaign is about. And you know what else they're afraid? They have, because they control media, and political life, and economic life, they control in many ways the culture of America. And this is what the culture today is about. It's about walking the streets of America and finding people sleeping out on the street. It's about seeing 60% of our people living paycheck to paycheck, while the people on top are becoming phenomenally rich. And what the culture says basically is, you are powerless. There is nothing you can do about it, because the oligarchs own it all. They have unbelievable wealth. They have power. They own the media. They own the political system. You are powerless. And what we are here tonight to say is, to hell with you. We're going to take you on. We're going to defeat you. That's what this campaign and that's what fighting oligarchy is about. They want to tell you that we cannot change this incredibly unfair and unjust status quo. Think about what Saran is campaigning on. Every psychologist in the world tells us that 0 through 4 are the most important years of human development, right? And in Washington, I hear all of my colleagues, they love America. Oh my God, got big flags all over the place. Well, if you love America, you love the children of America. If you love the children of America, you don't have hungry kids in Vermont or New York City. And you don't have a broken and dysfunctional and unaffordable child care system. Oh my God, what a radical idea to say that parents and kids should have good quality child care. Oh, how radical you are. Oh my God. All over this country, in Vermont, in New York City, people cannot afford their housing. Now, it's a funny thing. I did some calculations. I grew up, as some of you may know, about a mile away from here. And I grew up in a family that did not have a lot of money, and we lived in a rent-controlled apartment. So my dad never made any money, but we were able to live with an element of security. And I did some calculations based on my dad's income. We were spending back then, Zaran, about 18% of our family's income on housing. 18%. Okay? First year of college, I went to Brooklyn College. If my memory is correct, and my brother graduated from Brooklyn College before me. And when he graduated, do you know what tuition was in Brooklyn College?
Dude, can you imagine in
It was 0.
in 2025, only spending 18% of your income on rent?
Colleges in Vermont. It was 0 at the University of California. It was 0 in many great public colleges and universities. What a radical idea. You want to make college affordable. Unheard of. We only had it 70 years ago. What a radical idea to say that we should stabilize rents so the working class people can live in this city. What a radical idea to say that working class families should be able to go into a grocery store in an area where there are food deserts and be able to afford decent quality food for their children. Oh man, what a radical guy he is. What's the point? The point is you've been sold a bill of goods. You have been told that this is the best America can be. You've been told that it's okay for a few to have unbelievable wealth while 60% struggle to put food on the table and pay their rent. You've been told that it's okay that we got kids all over this country who give up the dream of a higher education because they can't afford it and don't want to go deeply into debt. You've been told that it is okay for working class parents to have to spend 30,
Do you regret
40%
not going there
of their
now?
limited incomes
No.
on child care. That's
I
what
mean,
you've
it
been
just
told.
wasn't in the cards. It's
Well,
fine.
what Saran is telling you and what I am telling you tonight, that is a crock
It just
of
what like
dash.
it is what it is, you know. Guys, I travel quite a bit for this job, you know.
And here is the story.
Would
They
I
don't
have been
want
on
to get
stage?
out.
Probably
in
not.
the richest country in the history of the world, it is not a radical idea to say that every man, woman, and child in America can have a decent standard of living. That ain't radical.
Open Presence, thank you for the 100 bones. God damn.
It's not radical to say that we can have a vibrant democracy by getting rid of Citizens United and moving to public funding of elections. It's not radical to say that the billionaire class has got to start paying their fair share of taxes. It is not radical to say that health care is a human right, not a privilege.
My Qatar funding.
And that we should not be the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child. It is not radical to say that we should have the best educational system from child care to graduate school in the world. It is not radical to say that we should not have the highest rate of childhood poverty, the highest rate of senior poverty of almost any major country on earth. And by the way, it is not radical to say that we should have a foreign policy based on humanity and based on justice. That we should not be spending tens of billions of dollars on the government of Israel that is currently starving children to death. That is not radical.
At least he didn't say Benjamin Netanyahu. Maybe he'll release the G word from once.
That is what the American people want. So brothers and sisters,
look,
what this
always
struggle
the biggest
is
applause
about.
line.
And
always the biggest applause break on fuck Israel.
It is going
always.
to be tough because these guys,
standing
these
ovation.
oligarchs,
Always.
They are very religious people. Their religion is greed. You would think that if you had a couple of $1 billion, it might be enough. Not for them. These are strongly motivated people. They work very hard. They want more and more and more, and they don't care whom they destroy in the process. So they have the wealth, they have the power. But you know what we got? And that's what Zoran's campaign is showing. We have the people. And the whole world, after Zoran is elected, the whole world, all the oligarchs are going to come down hard on him. Believe me, they will. Media will come down hard on him. So he's going to have to figure out a new way to govern. And you are going to be an integral part of that governing. So brothers and sisters, I want to thank all of you for coming out in this difficult moment in American history. And I want to remind you what you already know. What's going on here in New York City in this campaign is being watched all over America, all over the world. So the struggle we are engaged in is not just for us. It's not just for our kids. It is for the future of this planet. It's for the future of democracy. This is a fight we cannot and will not lose. Thank you.
God damn it, bro. It's not even my fault no more. This is like, At least this is, I guess, is a permanent fixture of. Wait, maybe it is my fault actually. I don't know. Maybe my internet is pooping.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like it's just you gotta have this.
Faz, raise
if
your
you want to
hand.
be a leftist streamer.
Socrates, where are you? Jeremy. Okay. We have a couple of mics going out there. We have time for a few questions.
Questions in the audience.
Make
That's
the questions
crazy.
short
Hold up
and,
now.
Directed to either Zoran or myself. Okay. I see you. Yes, right up here, ma'am. Yeah, stand up. Wait for the mic. Be loud.
Hi, I'm a teacher. My name's Heather, and this is my 23rd year teaching. I moved here in 2016, so I'm part of Tier 6. So I was just wondering what your plan was to help Tier 6 people, get better retirement.
Can you put your hand up if you do not know what Tier 6 is? So I'm gonna do a little bit of an explainer. There has long been an understanding that if you... Oh, Andrew Cuomo cut the mics. And you'll understand why he cut the mic. There's long been an understanding that if you go into public service, you might not make
The delay is
what
on
you
that
would
one
make in the
camera.
private sector,
That's it.
but you would at least
Stop saying
have
huge
a
delay, bro.
pension that you could count on. Now, Andrew Cuomo, when he was governor of this state, he was the architect of one of the most significant attacks on the public pension system of New York. Created a new tier, Tier 6, that would steal years and hard-earned money out of the pockets and the lives of public sector workers across this state. And he did that because he did not want to tax his own donors. And I'm not just saying this because I'm also a Tier 6 employee. Now, I speak to you as a state assembly member. We have some incredible state assembly members here in the house. Albany is a place where when the mayor comes, they have one of the biggest megaphones you could ever find. And the mayor's agenda is one that can influence what is considered important, a necessity, urgent, or what can simply be pushed along to another year. And one critical part of my Albany agenda, it's not just going to be winning the revenue to make buses fast and free, to deliver universal childcare. It's not just going to be tackling a broken and inequitable property tax system. It is also going to be finally undoing the crisis of Andrew Cuomo's making and fixing Tier 6.
Okay, I see a woman over there in the red. Yep.
Hi, Bernie. It's such a pleasure. I'm a new mom. I had a kid. Well,
This is the delayed camera.
So I'm not such a new mom. I'm also a proud member of the Democratic Socialists of America. And I just want to say the incredible joy of having a kid. It really hurts after the child care. It's so expensive to have a child. I pay $2,700 a month. That is over $32,000 a year to be able to work. And I would love for Zoran to give us let us know what it is that he needs from people like me, working parents. How do you need us to show up in order for universal childcare to become a reality in New York City? Because I would love to give my kid a sibling. I would love to save for housing. I would love to save for college. But I cannot do that under the current conditions. Thank you so much.
You know, Bernie was saying earlier that we have to feel the depth of these statistics that we often grow numb to. We recite them, we read them, we know them, and yet we often do not feel them. How much money did you say you spend a year on childcare? Over $32,000. Over $32,000. That is more money than if Deanna sent that same kid 18 years from now to Brooklyn College. That is more money. And that is why, after housing, childcare is the leading cost that is pushing New Yorkers out of this city, pushing them out of this state. Now, there will be many who will say that an agenda that seeks to meet the needs of working people is too ambitious. Those were the same people who told us we could never have universal pre-K in New York City. Now, it is a fact of life. So I say this, that your question is, what can others do to ensure that we win this? Do not stop organizing. You know, Deanna said she's a member of NYC DSA. It's an organization that has a few members that are here. It's an organization that I've been a member of. And it's an organization that's also tabling right here at this event. And if you don't know more about it, you should go and talk to them. And I would tell you to join an organization, join DSA, join any organization that continues to remind you that you will be the ones to deliver this change. Because there's, as Bernie has said, there are myths we have been told about our politics. Myths about waiting and trusting the experts. But when you ask the experts to show their work, it is the life that we live today. It is time for people to understand that politics is not something that we have, it's something that we do. And for people to understand that all of you in this room, we are all leaders together.
It's a great message.
And the only way that any one of us has any semblance of power when we are inside a room is if we can point outside the room and say, you don't want to talk to those guys. You don't want to talk to the people across this city and this state who are demanding this. That the demands we bring forth, they are not just our own personal fixations. They are reflections of the needs of working class people who are unwilling to wait any longer.
If I could just very briefly put an apostrophe on what Zaran said. Well, I'm sorry. All right. What I just wanted to say in terms of the woman's point, we have got to not only change our national priorities. I'll give you an example. In Congress right now, I will vote against a $150 billion increase in military spending. But can you imagine, at a time we already spend more than the next 10 nations combined, $150 billion for Trump's military, but apparently we don't have enough money to provide quality child care to our children. We must not ever for 1 second accept that. That is insane. All right? Okay. Let's go over here. Gentleman right here. Yeah. Vajagara.
Hello, Senator Sanders. Hello, Mr. Mandani. I'm Abdul Innes from Canarsie, Brooklyn. I just look at this campaign, and it reminds me a little bit what happened a few years ago in Buffalo. A lady by the name of India Walton ran. She ran and she defeated the Democratic incumbent.
Right.
But somehow that Democratic incumbent ran as an independent, and I've heard some
That was
schemy
so
things were going on. He
disastrous.
was able to somehow
What the
retain
Dems
seat.
did.
And it's almost like deja vu right now with Governor Cuomo. Well, Andrew Cuomo right now, who's you defeated, but he's back as an independent. And I don't know if it's a Democratic Party of New York. It seems like it's going on all over the country. I think Seattle, some lady named Wilson, is winning and doing great. So how do we make sure that something not like this doesn't happen again, and it's just straight up, you win and have fair elections?
We have to beat Andrew Cuomo one more time. We do. We do. This is a man who does not understand that no means no. This is a man who lost by 13 points to a campaign, our campaign, that got the most votes in New York City primary history. And still thinks that this is his race to win. But I appreciate the question also because it's a reminder to us that this job is not done. The best way to prepare for January is by winning a mandate in November. And we will face an incredible amount of money being spent against us. We will face smears and slander. We will face the kind of opposition that we have not yet seen in this city. And yet we know that we have all the same ingredients that defeated those same things in the primary. So, what my ask is to each and every one of you, we do not ask for your money because we are finished fundraising. We ask you for something more valuable. We ask you for your time. Can you put your hand up if you've canvassed for this campaign? This is beautiful. Now, I would ask you to come and canvass again. I would ask those of you that didn't raise your hand to do so, to join us, because it will be people, the likes of which we have not seen. 52,000 volunteers in the primary. We are going to get to 90,000 volunteers in the general. I don't know if we've said that publicly, so to the field team, now we really got to get there. We're good? 90,000. We knocked on 1.6 million doors and made 2.1 million phone calls. And now we have to do it again. And I want to just say one last thing on this, which is that we know that Senator Sanders' politics, the vision, the ethos of this campaign, it's not just specific to Democrats. It speaks to people across party lines. On Election Day, I was outside Maria Hernandez Park in Bushwick. And I was walking, it was about 6 or 7 p.m., and I had, like many candidates, convinced myself this was the end. We were going to lose. And in that spiral of anxiety, a man came on his motorbike. He took off his helmet. I had no idea what he was going to say. He said, "Can I get a selfie?" I said, "Brother, have you voted?" He said, "I was told I can't vote in a primary." I said, "Who told you that?" I said, "Give me your driver's license. Let's look up your voter registration." He was a registered Republican. He's 18 years old, registered Republican. And I said, "You can't vote today, but if we win, you can vote in November." I tell you that story because there are so many other New Yorkers just like him who see themselves in this campaign, see themselves in this struggle, and they need someone to knock on their door, to call their phone, to let them know that they have a place in this movement because they have a place in this city. That's what we need to do.
If I might, I want to add a point to that very good question. Maybe a little bit out of place here, but I want to do it. I find it a little bit strange that when we have a candidate who competed very hard, that's the number of other
Classic.
people,
He's garnering the support of
My
fascists.
understanding is you won that primary. Is that correct? My understanding is you are the Democratic Party
He's
candidate
bad.
for mayor of the city of New York, correct?
He's actually winning Republican voters.
Now, apropos of that question, I find it hard to understand how the major Democratic leaders in New York State are not supporting the Democratic candidate.
God damn it, man. I don't know if it's a YouTube thing. It might be my internet. My download is not enough, I think. Well, no.
One might think that if a candidate starting at 2% in the polls gets 50,000 volunteers, creates enormous excitement, gets young people involved in the political process, gets non-traditional voters to vote, Democratic leaders will be jumping up and down. This is our guy. So we got another fight on our hands, and that is the future of the Democratic Party. All right, let's get a question somewhere in the back there. Let me go way on the bleachers. All right. Faz, you want to get back there and select somebody? Whoa, 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 whoa. There's a lot of hands going up.
Who's the Brooklyn College student?
What? I didn't hear. What are they saying?
Jim.
Okay. All right, one tonight. Faz, you got a question back there? Wait, look, there are many people raising their hands. I can't call on everybody at the same time.
Senator Sanders, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
And Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani, can you hear me?
I too can hear you.
My name is Danya. I'm a student here at Brooklyn College. I'm Jewish, first-generation American by Soviet Jews. I am also a trans woman, and I attend school here, and I was here back in May as a
HasanAbi
student and as a private journalist here during the encampment. Since then, 4 faculty members have been fired, and these are adjunct faculty members. Since those 4 faculty members have been fired, 5 faculty members and 1 staff are now under investigation by the direction of Chancellor Felix Matos and President Michelle Anderson. We, as the students, have been targeted time and time again, not just by the administration, but by the faculty who are against us, and by the public safety who have been pointing me out to each other all night long, because I refuse to let the fact that Mr. Mamdani's team has put us Brooklyn College students in the very back with black wristbands, segregated from everybody else when we should be up front. We are the next generation of revolutionaries. We should be speaking to you. In 2016, I met you, Mr. Sanders, outside James Madison High School, our alma mater. How would you feel if you were a student now being told to sit in the back?
Okay, the last part's a bit.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. And I want to first address
That's a bit.
the points that you
last
raised
part,
about the
it
faculty
kind
members,
of
about
went
the
a
repression.
little overboard.
And the reason that I began my speech in solidarity with PSC. Can you all stand up if you're a PSC member?
I thought you was going to talk about, you know, like Palestine,
Can you
Palestine
stand up if you're a
related, and
student
not
of
like
Brooklyn College?
not just like the students that have been segregated in the back or something.
What we have seen, and James, for a little dramatic effect, can I steal your hat?
For people saying that's not a HasanAbi head, that literally is a grievance.
Thank you, James.
That is
Give it
the
up for the
most
head of
like
the PSC,
chatter ass
James
grievance of all time.
I have a very large hat. I wear this hat, and I say this in this moment, because the point that is being raised is that we are seeing faculty members who are facing not just discipline, but termination for the crime of expressing solidarity with the fight for Palestinian human rights. And I know that this is a repression that is not unique to Brooklyn College. It is a repression that extends even to the ways in which we choose when to send police officers onto college campuses. The incident around encampments here at Brooklyn College, the decision to surge officers into that site is one that leaves students less safe than they were before. And that is why I have said, as a mayor who will live up to Eric Adams, of all people's statement in 2021, that New Yorkers need not choose between safety and justice, that I will be committed to delivering actual safety, not to the use of the term as a means of repression. And so this commitment is one that I do not just make as a candidate, it is also one that I will fulfill as the mayor of this city.
By the way, to be fair, the person that said that most likely wanted to go somewhere else with the commentary, but might have gotten nervous in the process. It's tough to.
No, you cannot. Over there, please.
No, you cannot. Wait,
Go.
what?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking my question. And I'm really worried about everything. My name is Nirvana Garcia, actually, and I'm a psychology student at La Guardia Community College. Woo! So something is really thinking it in my brain since I saw this new administration attacking against us. Attacking us using social media to deny transgender identity. That's not true. They're denying identity. They're using disinformation, misinformation, and they're using their power to deny identities and to erase identities. That's not right. They're using disinformation, misinformation, and they are just basically destroying our culture.
Yes.
Please, Mr. Sanders, what can we do to fight against disinformation?
I don't know what Sanders going to say to that.
We are taking on a demagogue, and the demagogues do several things. One of the things they do is engage in the big lie. They lie all of the time. They lie all of the time. And they, with their big lie, whether it is in vaccines, whether it's what happened on January of 2021, whether in fact Trump won the election in 2020, they engage in big lies. That's what demagogues do. And we've got to fight them every way that we can. And one of the good things is I am seeing on the internet a lot of young people doing podcasts right now who are talking truth to power.
Okay.
But you got to fight back, because the cornerstone of what Trumpism is about is a big lie. And you're right. All right,
Yeah,
other questions?
that's right, man. I'm
Okay, young
feeling
lady
it.
right here.
I've basically
All right. Yeah.
single-handedly
Hi,
and
Mr.
successfully
Sanders and Mr.
eradicated
Hassani.
anti-trans
I'm so excited
behavior.
to talk to you guys. Here's my question. So basically, I'm going to sit down because I have a lot of spine issues. So here's my question. So 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with 5 conditions in my spine that result in sometimes debilitating chronic pain. And I had to quit my full-time job at the time because it was not like, it was a very physical job. It was an education-related job. I signed a contract in March to be a first-grade teacher this school year, and 3 days before I was supposed to start, I learned that the school would not accommodate my physical disability. And so now I'm out of work, and I'm also an artist. I'm also a 4th-generation New Yorker. My mom's family has been New Yorkers as long as we've been Americans. Okay, so here's my question. I joined your campaign, Mr. Mamdani, because I love everything you stand for. And so my question is twofold. One, how are you going to fix accessoride? And what do you say? And what do you, Mr. Mamdani, say, given Cardi B on the stand, what do you say to men who try to make beautiful women from the Bronx be quiet?
Don't. You know, and I think,
Bro,
I
what
have
the
to say
fuck
that
is
every
happening?
time I sit and talk to Senator Sanders, he will always bring up healthcare. He will bring up the importance of it, the necessity of it, and the fact that we need not wait for a
I swear to God, I feel like I'm watching real-time
to
chat.
understand our own role in reckoning with this broken system. And I think of accessoride as one of many examples.
Bro, the
city
accessoride one is
government's
fine.
own
It's a
failures.
disability. I think it's like a disability-related
I
question
have
that's
been
good.
guilty
But like,
in the beginnings of my politics of thinking that if I were to admit the incompetence,
this
the
is your fault,
inefficiencies,
bro.
the
I'm gonna keep it a
failures of
buck
the public
50.
sector, I would be inviting critique of the existence of
This
that
is.
system.
I feel like I'm literally watching how like outsiders watch me yell at my fucking chat and berate my chat and go, "What the fuck is wrong with this community?" And like low-key, half of those are HasanAbi has most likely. So I'm gonna tell you right now, if you go to one of these events and if you have a question, please, keep it directional. And number two, how the fuck is nobody has a question about Palestine, man? What the fuck's going on? God damn.
We can even go further with how so many New Yorkers get around New York City. More than 1 million ride the bus. We have to reckon with the failures. And one of the first things I will be doing when I get to City Hall, with the help of each and every one of you, is to audit the entirety of the work that we do and that we fund.
Yeah, I swear to God, I feel like COVID bricked everybody, dude.
Because we need to deliver excellence. We need to ensure that public transit, that accessoride, these are not the things that only those who cannot afford something
I gotta do the
else
just
turn
be
to.
normal chant
We need
way
to
more
make them
frequently,
so
I
good,
think.
so reliable, so dependable that no matter how much money is in your pocket, you say, I'm going to use this. That's what we have to do.
Zoran raises two important issues. Now, there are a lot of people raising their hands, all right? Please don't shout out. We'll do our best here. But just I want to comment on one point, and I want everybody to understand this in their souls.
I
You
will
are
say it like
living
this, though.
in the only major country
even the
on
difference
earth
between like the
that
way
does
Zoran
not
and Bernie
guarantee
handle
healthcare
this
to
kind
every
of
man, woman,
question,
and child.
even if it's like from a supporter framed antagonistically, Bernie answers
Over
it like someone who has answered it a
40%
million
of
times over and has
Americans
no
who are
time for
struggling
anybody
with
else's
cancer
fucking behavior.
go
And
back
Zoran
to
answers it
defeat
like
their
someone who
life
just got
savings.
into
That's
this
half
level
a
of
million
national
people
prominence.
go bankrupt
So I will
because of
say,
medical
I
bills.
find myself,
That is
regardless of our obvious
cruel,
disagreements when it comes to
absurd.
issues such as like Israel, American foreign policy and whatnot, I do find myself a little bit closer to Bernie
And
Sanders
despite
in
all
regards
of that,
to how
we're
short
spending-
I get
talk about
at
efficiency.
times.
We're spending twice as
Given
much
how many
per
fucking
capita
times
on
I've had to
healthcare as the
respond to
people
shit.
in any other country.
No matter how
You
cringe it
would- we
might come
should
across
have
as.
the best gold
Yeah, new teacher
standard
versus old teacher
healthcare
dynamic,
system in
straight
the
up.
world, not one of the worst. So that's a fight we've got to wage and not ever give up on.
But I do really respect how
All
much.
right, I see a woman right there, right in the middle, in a white
I do respect how much
blouse. Yes.
Zoran has like charity,
Yeah,
endless
ma'am.
charity, no matter what
Yes.
the question is.
Stand up. All right. Yes, you stand up, get a mic. Do we got her a mic? Faz, you got a mic? Okay.
Bernie
That's
dodging the
scary.
question about beautiful women from the
Hi,
Bronx.
Senator Sanders, you're my hero. I canvassed for you, and I would do it again.
Thank you.
And Mamdani, depending on how you answer this question, me and my children will canvass for you too. So my question is that, I'm so thankful for everything you said. We called out every issue, every community. You've stood for my family. I'm third generation. My grandma, projects, Brooklyn, my dad. And I feel like you've stood up for our family. I got to go to CUNY and all these things. And as a
Black woman in New York, I feel privileged because there are we all say we're native New Yorkers, but there are the original native New Yorkers, the Lenape people, who are the original chosen stewards of where we are. I'm part of a CUNY Indigenous Sovereignty Collective. I'm an Indigenous rights activist. And I tell you that they are still here. They are still trying to come home. We talk about the kids here, but what about the kids from here? How are you going to help them get education? How are we going to provide housing for them? You know, they are the first people who suffered from this capitalist core that we're in. Thanks. Remember, I may or may not canvass for you after this.
We have to answer every question, like someone may or may not. You know, I think one thing that has frustrated me is the idea that by acknowledging that betrayal, we have then done the work of actually reckoning with it. If the entirety of our commitment to people who are native to this city, to this state, to this country is simply an acknowledgement, that is insufficient. And I have spoken often about the universal commitment that we have across this city, but it will also take a lens to understand what are the specific ways in which we have let people down. What are the specific ways in which we have refused to learn from our own history? And I will tell you with honesty that
the internet was a mistake. Why? Did they do another cringe question?
For me to learn, and for so many of us to learn about the ways we can actually meet that requirement. And I tell you this because oftentimes in politics, it's seen as if we have a theory of one great person who simply has all of the ideas and they're coming to deliver us into the future that we deserve. When I was speaking earlier and I went through freezing the rent, making buses fast and free, delivering universal childcare, the idea of making buses fast and free was not my idea. It was an idea that I had given to me in a meeting with another New Yorker who was passionate about transit, Alicia Singham Goodwin. When we were having meeting after meeting about our campaign to fix the MTA, we were soliciting people for advice
here. They made
of what do you think we should do? And I share this with you to say that I look at you and to everyone in this crowd as the potential source of the answer to how we actually reckon with it. Because I have an interest in actually answering that question. Thank you.
All right, let me make an apology here. I've got a plane to catch, so maybe one more question. I see a woman, Faz, right behind you. Yeah. Woman, nope, that's one. Yep. All right, both women, all right.
It wasn't cringe, a bunch of Twitch chatters stuck inside 8 hours a day criticizing people who are touching grass and asking and liking his official questions.
Senator Sanders, Zoran Mamdani, my name is Remy Bahati. I'm a Ugandan-born, Columbia-educated journalist. I have a question, probably you can both answer it. Uganda has been in the news for the wrong reasons, and the reason is because they have accepted to host deportees from the US, and it's setting a precedent for New York immigrants who are every day living in fear of being deported to countries like Uganda, to countries that we have no idea about. Zoran, first I would like you to pronounce yourself on the decision by Uganda, where you're originally from, on taking immigrants from the US. And then two, what are you going to do?
That's a great way to ask a question, by the way, but she's a professional, she's a journalist.
In fear every single day.
That's the difference. But I don't even fault people because these are average people who are nervous and shit. Oh shit, that's Sarah Squirm, look at that.
So I have to say a few words in Luganda to begin, because I'm a New Yorker, I'm an American, and also Ndimuna Uganda. I think it is wrong to accept any part in the Trump administration's deportation agenda.
As an SNL cast member.
It is wrong. It should be opposed, and we should understand that the greatest responsibility is with this administration here, seeking to tear families apart across this country. We are in a city where 40% of New Yorkers were born outside of this country. I am one of those New Yorkers. And we know that while I am proud to be one of the first immigrant mayors of this city in generations, that representation in and of itself is insufficient. We must be prouder still of the work that we will do. And so one of the key things that we can do here in New York City is to actually start to provide legal representation to New Yorkers in detention proceedings. There are tens of thousands of New Yorkers who are in immediate danger of deportation. And City Hall has only assisted fewer than 200. Fewer than 200. And the
Is Casey Neistat pro Mumdani? You failed to spell that out. That's number one. But number two, absolutely not. Is he not? No, of course, I would be shocked if he is. He's super pro-Israel. Mamdani is anti-Israel.
And so one of the first priorities of my administration will be to increase funding by tens of millions of dollars to scale up this program such that we do everything in our power to ensure that immigrant New Yorkers are not living in fear across this city. I could keep going, but I know the senators got to go.
I just wanted to add to that. This idea of picking people up off the street with men who have masks around their faces, throwing them into vans, taking them to God knows where, and then deporting them to countries where they know nobody is beyond unspeakable. It is disgusting. It is what takes place in two-bit dictatorships. That's what happens in dictatorships, not in the United States.
No one's asking about Bernie's defensive weapons support. I don't even think that's a major point.
To stop that ugly behavior. All right, last question, woman in the back.
I don't even think like the defensive weapons is going to come up. I think more consequentially is the lack of saying it's a genocide.
My question was going to be, thank you. My question was going to be about protecting immigrant populations because so frequently they are the ones who are being exploited in the workplace. But since you have already answered that beautiful question, thank you so much, from this wonderful woman in front of me. Could I ask how you're going to protect this city from the National Guard coming in?
Bernie.
The first thing is we have to prepare for
Israel's 8 years younger than you. Do you consider it a problematic age gap with your old ass? Yeah, that's the best way to ask that question.
Is illegal, Donald Trump will not do it. We have to be prepared, and we have to be clear-eyed. And we have to understand that it will take every single tool at our disposal. We saw in California the mayor of LA, the attorney general of the state, and the governor work together to fight back against the White House's deployment of the National Guard. They filed a lawsuit. A federal judge just recently found in their favor that the deployment of the National Guard was illegal. I give you this example because partnership is critically important in fighting back against Donald Trump. Can you imagine Andrew Cuomo working together with Tish James and Kathy Hochul to fight back against the deployment? Why would he fight back when it's Donald Trump that's trying to get him elected right now? But it's not enough to just file that lawsuit. We also have to ensure that we make clear that if Donald Trump is interested in helping New York, which is the premise of all of these deployments, of cleaning up our cities, he should undo the legislation that he has passed that is attacking
Kathy Hochul literally deployed the
because
National Guard
when I meet
herself.
New Yorkers, I hear from them how they already can't afford this place. I hear from
Remember?
them how it is further and further out of reach. And this legislation,
I know he can't be talking shit on the governor when like a key part of his policy requires Albany support, but
all of us will be fighting for.
you know, that's a story for a different day, I guess, but
Okay. Well, listen, thank you all very much for coming out. Thank you. You know, getting to be 50 years of age, Saran, it's not that easy. Pretty hard. All right. There you go. All right. Brothers and sisters, I think what we have heard tonight from the questions, from Saran, from me, these are unprecedented and difficult moments in our history. But you know what? This country has gone through difficult moments in the past. The essence of Trumpism is dividing us up. What we believe is bringing our people together. They are the 1%, we are the 99%. Let us stand together. Let us defeat oligarchy and make New York and America the places we know they can become. Thank you all very much.
That was decent. The lady who came up and had the "why are we in the back" question kind of stole the mic from someone else. The person she stole it from was wearing a keffiyeh. Not cool at all. It's just an unfortunate set of circumstances, I think. Also, I don't know what happened with the event. I feel like maybe they just like limited the amount of attendees for some reason. Or maybe it was because people are saying there was a thunderstorm taking place in Brooklyn at the time. But I feel like a Bernie Zoran Brooklyn event should have more fucking people than a Bernie Zoran Brooklyn event should have way more people than like a random what did Sneaker do to get kicked out? I don't know. Be fucking a Holocaust denier for like the past 2 years. Advocate for pedophilia also. Claim that he only reverted to Islam so that he could have multiple wives over and over again. Just basically adopt like the most reactionary Westerner Islamophobic framework of Islam. Like overall bad vibes, I think, to be associated with a candidacy that currently is under unimaginable amounts of attack. Like to the average person in the media, I think they would love, they would love to catch Zohran Mamdani with someone like Sneeko. So they could just hammer him in a way that they never did with Eric Adams. They already didn't allow him to come to the election night stream because I think he like tried to come in. I think a lot of these guys in the next couple of years will pivot. Maybe some of them will be open-minded. Or will have a genuine change of heart, a genuine change of convictions, and they'll reflect on their past reactionary takes. I don't know if everyone will do that. Some people will cynically change, claim that they've changed. I don't know. Here's a pic of the crowd size. No, I'm saying like the auditorium that they had was not a very big one. Sneago was a former HasanAbi head? Yeah, well, many former HasanAbi heads have lost their way, so. The auditorium at Bernie UIC event was tiny too. Taskid Noah says, wait, he had the same Gaza guest on stream as of you? Yeah, I know. He had Yusuf on his stream. What do you mean? So? Okay. What's the point? You know who else he has had on the stream over and over again? Nick fucking Fuentes. Maybe Bernie's making people stay home now? Fuck no. Are you kidding me? Bernie is... Oh, God. A lot of you guys don't understand how the online sphere of, like, leftism... At least like our little bubble of left is so utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Like people do not think Bernie Sanders is a bad guy for his Israel takes. Do you understand? I need you to comprehend this really quickly. The faster you understand, the better you will be as an organizer, the better you will be at outreach to normal people. Okay? It was standing room only indoors. You're gaslighting chat and thinking it was a small event. No, dude. No. I'm saying that they chose, like, I feel like they could have had a bigger area. I wonder why they didn't choose a larger space to hold the event in. What do you not comprehend? I'm saying Bernie could fill a much larger audience, a much larger fucking room. And so can Zoran. And I assume it's because of the fucking rainstorms and also their choice of venue. Because they didn't want to? That I'm asking the question. Why didn't they want to go to a larger area? That's what I meant. Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. Obviously, that's the reason. I'm asking, I wonder what the reason is for why they chose this. Anyway. But in any case, as I was saying, a lot of people think like the average person's opinion is like close to mine or close to the squirrel account, like the average person in America's opinion. We're not having a conversation about what the truth is right now. Okay. We're having a conversation about like what the average American's assessment is. Okay. If you were to tell the average person, Democrat voter, non-Democrat voter, don't you think Bernie's a liberal Zionist because he's like, and therefore reactionary because he doesn't call what Israel's doing a genocide? They would look at you like you have 8 fucking eyeballs. They would be like, what the fuck are you, what are you saying? To normies, Bernie Sanders and AOC as well are profoundly popular figures, especially Bernie. Okay, Bernie Sanders is a profoundly popular politician in the United States of America at a time when there is a tremendous amount of animosity directed righteously at politicians. Okay? The reality of the matter is, while the concern as far as Bernie refusing to say the truth about what Israel is doing and refusing to be a leader in this regard, I think that most normies probably look at Bernie and go, wow, he's really pushing the needle. He's really, he's really committed. That's part of the reason why they like him, because they think like adjusted to the average person's considerations and adjusted to the average person's opinion on members of Congress, he's above and beyond. And he's seen by normies as a positive figure, a positive force in American politics, unless they're like brain-rotted reactionaries. I don't know if this is true, though. I asked Beto to commit to an arms embargo in a full room in Kansas City, Missouri, and he refused. I disrupted. There was a lot of support. No. Well, that's different. That we're not talking about Bernie Sanders. We're talking about Beto O'Rourke. This doesn't actually go against what I'm saying at all. Yeah. A liberal politician whose previous stances on Israel committing a genocide are unknown is, of course, going to draw a lot of cheers when someone actually fucking says, what's your situation with the arms embargo? Would you commit to an arms embargo? That's very different. You think Beto supporters are more liberal than Bernie's? I don't understand. No, I'm saying that the average person thinks what you're committing Beto O'Rourke to is what Bernie Sanders is already committed to. That's my point. Do you not get it? They already think Bernie's there. As a matter of fact, the only crowd where like a question that is somewhat antagonistic towards Bernie Sanders about sorry, someone at the door. The only crowd where a somewhat antagonistic question directed towards Bernie in the direction of like, why aren't you more aggressive about Israel, would ironically be at a Bernie rally. But outside of a Bernie rally, like he is from my experience at least, like there are people who are far more radical than Bernie on the issue of Israel at the Bernie Sanders rallies. Outside of that, though, I think most people see Bernie as like the leading voice on anti-Israel sentiment. And they're wrong for thinking so. Gaia, place. Okay. Yedim çok güzel. Anne yanlış kapı. Orta kapıyı çek. Açtım anne. Oh my God. Down. What is this? The Zoran campaign is the future of leftist politics in this country and a blueprint on how to claw back control from both neoliberal conservatives and neoliberal elites alike. Except from liberal CIA Dems are done.
I mean, we've got a socialist candidate on the rise in New York City. Oh no, cheap groceries, quick! Send in the molester. And every day, more and more people are waking up to Israel's clear and obvious genocide in Palestine.
But look at this sea change. Now Democrats sympathize more with the Palestinians by 43 points. Oh my God, that is a change in the margin of 56 points over the course of just 8 years.
And let's be real, it was always destined to get here. The problem was that most people just were not aware of or educated on Israel's fascist Zionist project and their apartheid against the Palestinian people, which has been going on since 1948. But you can't exactly commit a live stream genocide and not have people become aware of exactly how vile and depraved your bullshit ideology is. Especially if your propaganda is dog shit. No, but please keep telling us Israel has the right to defend itself, how they're an important ally that must be protected, while Israel's Minister of National Security says shit like this.
כל רחבי הרצועה היא טעות קשה וחמורה. אסור לתת חמצן לאויבים. אני חושב שבשלב הזה מה שהיה צריך להעביר לעזה זה דבר אחד. פצצות, לפוצץ, לכבוש.
What is this? Hey man, why are you so okay with supporting terrorists? I'm actually curious because it seems like you are cool with death and killing of innocents as long as they are against you. Wait, what? Do you think that I'm pro-Israel? Did you accidentally think that I was pro-Israel? What is happening? Wow. Last time this chatter spoke was in 10/10/2023. Let's match up their previous sentiments to whether or not Israel has a unique position in their heart, considering that they've been around this community for quite a while. Now, February 1st, 2023. Now, is there something unique that you guys can point to with this chatter's opinion pre-October 7 versus post-October 7? Let's take a look. Have fun dealing with the toxic children in your chat, molding over nothing, but these Zoomers wouldn't have anything to do with terminally online leftists. Shit's on them. American sock dems are far more imperialist than they understand with their dogma, trying to be pushed on other poorer countries. Military-industrial complex go burr. It's such a lame thing for the right to get mad at, and yet it's very colonist behavior. Every time I see Westerners try to push their morals on the East, all I see is imperialists. Love when the left has to nitpick every detail. Still not bad as a Reddit atheist. They are super goofy. Okay, if this person isn't actually saying I'm a Zionist and unironically thinking that I'm like pro-Israel, then this is the greatest fucking whiplash that I've ever experienced. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I really hope this is like one of those guys who's a Maoist third worldist and he's actually saying, oh, Israel sucks, but let's be clear, but Hamas sucks too. It's like I hate both. Okay. No. Never mind. Hold on. Let me match up to... No, they are. They are actually, an ashamed former pro-Israel supporter who's still a pro-Israel supporter, but he's too afraid to openly admit that to himself and to others. Because right here, let's look back at this. Hold on. Military-industrial complex go burr. It's such a lame thing for the right to get mad at. Yeah, it's very colonist behavior. Every time I see Westerners try to push their morals on the East, all I see is imperialists. American sock dems are far more imperialist than they understand with their dogma, trying to be pushed on other poorer countries. Love when the left has to nitpick every detail. Please don't mimic the clicker language from the LOU is rude. Lol, beware. Might cancel Hasan. I will stop the joke. Okay. Military intel says not balloon. Why refuted? Balloons have propulsion that you can see. These didn't have any. Interesting. So, disparaging the xenophobic language coming from the media, talking about the colonial behavior exhibited by social democrats, Western chauvinists alike. Seems like this is a person who is actually very invested in foreign policy. Hasan, how dare you? That drone had a family and was American-blooded. Hasan, you don't understand that drone had feelings, and we don't need to speak bad about it. You can defend the moderate drone planes. You need their votes. Wow, seemingly very anti-war. Almost an anti-imperialist, as a matter of fact. That's so strange. But then, this person who is one step removed from you using Maoist standard English on 10/10/2023. I wasn't live on October 7th, of course. I was live on October 8th, 2023, 2 days after my first stream on 10/10/2023. This guy comes in and reveals his final message in the chat, only to come back around this time. So what happened to this chatter who kept talking about, correctly, mind you, the colonialist values exhibited by even the social fascists of the social democratic left in the Western world? I wonder what took place. I don't even know who unbanned this person, but it's fine. I don't have any issues with unbanning people like this. Is it perhaps that this person who fancies themselves to be an anti-imperialist found one imperial project that they hold near and dear, only to come back 2 years after the fact, after 23 months of unlimited settler colonial violence inflicted upon the indigenous population of Palestinians, does he still try to relitigate his wrong opinions? And instead of having the decency to say, hey, man, you were right, I was wrong, I have the capacity to feel shame, I'm here to say, my bad, my mistake, or not even say anything at all. Okay? I get it. I get this is a bit both sides nonsense, but it was a crazy time. 10/17/2024. So 1 year after. 1 year after the fact, he apologized and subsequently got unbanned, only to still relitigate the same shit. Still the same shit. How can you tell me with any sincerity that you understand colonial violence inflicted, not only just like the direct boots on the ground violence, not only the drone warfare that you talked about, that you criticized, sarcastically, mind you, but then when Israel does it to the Palestinians as a very important part of American imperialism in the region, you think the people that respond back militarily are the fucking bad guys? How in the ever-loving fuck did we arrive at that position? And it wasn't just Hamas chatter. Because Israel is so clear and so obviously the villain in the story that you got motherfuckers who are like, yeah, I think the Iraq war was good, brother, but goddamn, what Israel's doing is a bridge too far. And you still, as someone who was on the exact diametrical opposite of that fucking position, cannot get yourself to maybe realize how. Because no, don't say Islamophobia, chatters. Don't say Islamophobia, because if he was that Islamophobic, he would also say, well, the drone warfare is also, kind of appropriate, because Islamophobic liberals always said, well, don't you think drone warfare is a more surgical way to deal with these genuine problems of fundamentalist radicals that need to be dealt with violently? That's what Islamophobic liberals say. This chatter is literally beyond the Islamophobic liberal position when it comes to criticizing drone warfare, when it comes to even Westerners demanding that colonial subjects, victims of empire, reflect their immediate values without even ever offering them the same freedoms that Westerners have had and had enjoyed to be able to have their own domestic civil struggles. So he recognizes all that shit. So how did that happen? And this question is not just for this chatter, but it's good for that chatter to actually address it. You don't have to respond to it. You don't have to write anything in the chat. Just ask yourself that question. How did I arrive at this position? Because I've never met a motherfucker who's like, listen, dude, this is the I'm anti-imperialist except for Israel guy. Now that right there, chatters, that is a unique position. Because I've never met a motherfucker who is anti-imperialist except for Israel. Okay? That's a way, way more unique position than like pro-Ukraine versus and pro-Israel guys who are just like NatSec liberals. Way more unique than like Z pushers who are pro-Russia and pro-Palestine. Way more unique than the average Russian and average Israelis politics, which is pro-Russia and pro-Israel, or the average Republican, I guess. This man is against imperial conquest for everybody but Israel. Yep, there it is. I already know the answer to this question. Yes, you have fucking family in Israel, so you're biased. So how can people in this chat who fucking live in Israel as Jews living in Israel, how can members of the Knesset that have literally been a part of the IDF and then became conscientious objectors have a more honest position on this than you, anti-imperialist dumb fuck, living in the core of empire with simply familial relatives, with a family association in Israel? Shame on you. Shame on you. There are anti-Zionist Jews in Israel that are in this fucking community, that are conscientious objectors, anti-Zionist Jews in Israel that are demonstrating, that are putting their bodies on the line to try and protect Palestinians in the West Bank. And you're out here being like, sorry, I have a familial association, which causes me to just brick my fucking brain and everything else that I've downloaded in here, exhibiting your own personal bias. And also demonstrating it by literally 23 months into a genocide, demonstrating that bias without even feeling embarrassed by it. It took you a year to apologize for the both sides' position, said things were hot. And then what? Months later, you're still back at it again. Clearly, you are refusing to learn. I went through a serious whiplash. You can shame all you want. It's called growth over years and changing opinions. No, dumbass. We're making fun of you for not changing your opinions. Your core. Okay, your fundamentals are busted if you don't understand how Israel set the stage for October 7 to happen, how America set the stage for October 7 to happen. That's the problem. You are fundamentally at odds here, and you act like you are actually unironically embarrassed by the previous position that you held, and yet the resentment still carried over. How do you not get it? Yeah, I say we leave the Middle East entirely. They all suck. I went through a serious whiplash on October 7. I saw people supporting Hamas, but then I saw Israel went way off the rails. Yeah, you misunderstood fundamentally how October 7 happened, okay? The reason that people were, from your estimation, quote unquote, supporting Hamas was because they were simply more knowledgeable than you about what Israel had done prior. People like myself didn't come out and were like, oh, thank God Hamas did this. Of course not. Because many understood exactly what was coming. But the people that were falsely saying like, oh, you support October 7, you love October 7, people like myself, the reason why we were presented as such was because we were aware of the conditions that were set before, far before October 7, from the inception of the Israeli state, even before then, but certainly in the aftermath of the Nakba, 80 years of colonial oppression, domination of the indigenous population, ethnic cleansing, sieges that took place over and over again, more land grabs, more belligerence demonstrated to all neighbors who are unfortunate enough to be around the settler colonial entity that is chock full of people that are primed to kill all Arabs in the region, while still simultaneously claiming to be fucking victims. It's ridiculous. So if you understand how Israel went a little out of hand and, after October 7, well, there's still a lot more room to grow in your perspective, because they didn't just go a little out of hand. They used October 7 to finalize their genocide, an ethnic cleansing campaign that has continued for 80 years on a slow burn and much faster at times of sieges. What the Israeli government calls mowing the lawn. That's it. I just don't understand the support for Hamas when they are also evil too. Are we just picking lesser of two evils? I was wrong about Israel. I own up to that. I'm genuinely curious. What about Hamas is not a terrorist group? Let me tell you, okay? Hamas is in charge of an emancipatory movement. It is a nationalist movement for Palestinians. 15 million. 10 million of them, 15 million total, 10 million of them living under, or 5 million of them living under Israeli occupation, 10 million of them living in diaspora. Okay? A stateless people who were offered a state, as a matter of fact, who were supposed to have a state even after it was ripped apart in half by a settler colonial entity with a Jewish supremacist identity. Zionism is Jewish supremacy, an ethno-religious supremacist identity, an ideology with an exterminationist principle, an extermination of the outgroup. So the difference between Hamas and Israel is Israel behaves like ISIS. Hamas is fighting back. And Hamas is not just Hamas anyway. Hamas is the entirety of the Palestinian resistance. It's just called Hamas by everyone in the West and in general. It's like a catch-all term. Whenever people say AIPAC, they don't just mean AIPAC. They mean all of the Israeli lobbying efforts, for example. If you, after 23 months of genocide, even though you recognize that your opinion is shifted on what Israel is doing, and you still fucking shelter yourself from seeing the truth by claiming, oh, well, they get a little out of hand. Genocide is not getting a little out of hand. Okay? And you obviously have not taken enough initiative on this journey. I think billionaires holding all the wealth that run Hamas suck, yes. Oh my God, this motherfucker's still talking about billionaires own. Oh my God, brother, who are you talking about? Israel has assassinated every single person in the leadership structure of Hamas at this point. What the fuck do you mean the billionaires? They've killed all their family members. They're doing a genocide. Even if they literally were wealth hoarders, which, by the way, there's not a lot of evidence for, with the exception of like a couple fucking New York Post articles that get choice quotes from Benjamin Netanyahu's favorite fucking think tank, the FDD, Foundation for Defending Democracies, which is, of course, not doing that at all. It's just there to defend Israel. But even if that was true, that doesn't change the dynamic of Israel's genocide and ethnic cleansing, okay? The fuck do you mean? What are you trying to say? Like, Israel's actually doing anti-capitalist action by assassinating the billionaires, the what? Redistribute the wealth? Is that what Israel is doing? You're only presenting this because you saw, again, Zionist fucking talking points. And not only that, but also there are plenty of issues with Hamas's governing structure. There are plenty of issues that Gazans have with their own government. Okay? None of that matters. None of that matters when we talk about what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. It is nothing. Okay? Ridiculous. Hasan, Hamas kills people. Nothing against the people, but Hamas does stuff I can't get behind. Is that so bad? Or are you of the opinion that it's the only way? I'm of the opinion that if you push people to a fucking corner over and over again and enact 80 fucking years of domination and ethnic superiority and religious superiority over them, then yes, some of those people that were orphaned by the colonial entity are going to fight back militarily. What the fuck do you think people are going to do? Especially when you leave them with no options. One must understand how Hamas actually came to power. One must understand the PLO. You have to understand the history of Palestinian resistance and its evolution to try and comprehend how we got here. to try and comprehend how Palestinians got here. Even though chat's being kind of rude, at least I'm learning and getting actual feedback. Thank you. I don't know enough to have an opinion. I just know it was hell and we did a lot of evil. And I appreciate you actually explaining it's not just being rude. Yes, I can see you were frustrated, but if I didn't say anything, how could I learn new things? I don't know. You don't have to fucking come in here and say, why are you okay with supporting terrorists? I'm actually curious because it seems like you're cool with the death and killing of innocents as long as they are against you. Do you feel like that's something that you were actually, do you feel like that first statement right there was one that made it seem as though you wanted to learn? Why? Why do you come in here with such rudeness, with such hostility? Also, how many fucking times since October 7 and far before that as well, but how many fucking videos do I have on this matter? How many times have I written on this issue? Okay? You could have just searched it on your own. You could have just gone to a fucking YouTube video that I've done at any given point, you know? It's the way that you present these questions that is the problem. And then doubling down on it. You heard me. I said what I said. Israel sucks. Let's be clear, but Hamas sucks too. I hate both. You don't. You clearly don't hate both. I'm not the only person who could have taught you about this, for the record. You don't want to hear it from me. There are a million there are Jewish Israeli anti-Zionists that you could hear from. There are historians of I mean, Zach Foster's a great example. He's a PhD at Princeton. He is Jewish himself. And he is a scholar on the history of Palestinian resistance, specifically Hamas. What is this? He's rage baiting you. He's doing this. Confidently drop an incorrect statement and make logical statements to defend it. They will lose their shit trying to correct you. Make it seem like you are willing to learn, but continue to revert. Once you feel like you lost them, make it seem like you understand them better, but not accidentally taking a different... How do you rage bait a smart person? Once you feel like you lost them, make it seem like you understand them better, but not accidentally take it in a different incorrect direction. I don't think that person is actually doing that. I think that person literally came in hot, wanted to rage bait, and then realized that his previous fucking chatter, his previous statements in the chat were readily available to me, realized that it was actually embarrassing that he had this very clear-cut bias, and now is going through the initiative after being caught of at least saying like, okay, I'm learning. I'm on a journey to learn. I'm not going to fucking cast aside this person and immediately say that he is not going to have a genuine a change of behavior. I hope he does. And I hope this was still educational for those who are maybe not as in tune with the history of Palestinian resistance, for example. What is this? I mean, follows denims and shit. A lot of this. I don't know what's going on here. I don't think this person is like an acolyte. I think they're just an anime fan. With a gooner anime fan who loves VTubers a lot. Who I think just genuinely are just personally fucking biased. In any case, is that wrong? Is what I was told? Yes, they're dead now, but they were. Isn't that wrong? I'm willing to admit I was lied to and change my mind. First of all, I'm telling you, it doesn't even matter if they're billionaires because Israel's still doing a fucking genocide. But no, of course you have to take a little bit of fucking scrutiny to whatever kind of evidence that Israel is presenting and pro-Israeli think tanks are presenting about Hamas or whatever the fuck, Hamas leadership. Here, I'll give you one of the best examples. Yahya Sinwar, the architect of October 7, right? Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar was a part of the internal security structure within Hamas initially before he became like the the leader, basically, of the Al-Qassam brigades. Yahya Sinwar, born in a fucking refugee camp, of course, as is the case with every single fucking Palestinian resistance leader and every single member of the Palestinian resistance, born in a refugee camp. One must ask the question, why? How did that happen? Anyway, spent most of his life in fucking Israeli prison, okay? Learned Hebrew, translated a lot of Israeli works into Arabic. Okay, Yahya Sinwar, presented as this incredibly barbaric, anti-Semitic guy. Actually, that's not even the case. I feel like because of his like friendship with the Israeli dentist when he was in prison and stuff, has actually offered unique insight into his background, even in Israeli society. But he's like the arch villain of Israel, right? And throughout the entire process post October 7, Israeli officials kept repeatedly saying Yahya Sinwar is actually chained into a fucking, is hiding outside of Gaza. He escaped through the tunnels like a rat. Or that he actually had all of the Israeli babies chained to his body, as though that would stop Israel from assassinating a fucking Palestinian resistance leader. Get the fuck out of here. But they kept saying it over and over again. Oh, he's feeding his belly in the tunnel system as Palestinians starve above, right? All of that was a fucking lie, right? How did he die? He died fighting. He died on pure accident, for the record. Israel did not know that they were actually targeting Yahya Sinwar. They were just doing the same shit that they do every goddamn day. They shelled him with a tank, and then they sent in a fucking drone. And only after, a day later, when those diaper brigade cowards were finally able to go into the fucking building that they'd blown up, did they find him, his body. In his pocket, he had like, what, Mentos. That's it. He was also starving. He died fighting. So what? That was a fucking lie. I thought he was supposed to be in Qatar, right? That's what Israel was saying. So why the fuck do you believe when they say, oh, all these guys? Ismail Haniyeh, also assassinated in Tehran, leader of the Politburo, has nothing to do with Al-Qassam brigades, right? These are two totally separate fucking groups at this point. Okay? In charge of Hamas's civil governance affairs, is the principal negotiator talking to Israel throughout this ceasefire process that never came about. They killed him in Tehran. They had already killed most of his family deliberately. So why the fuck would you believe whatever Israel has to say about Hamas's leadership? The most interesting aspect of Yahya Sinwar's death, his execution, his martyrdom, was that Israel thought this would be humiliating for the Palestinians. What Israel didn't realize was that the rest of the world was so disgusted with their actions that they actually elevated Yahya Sinwar's status by showing that they had lied about him over and over again. This has been a dramatic miscalculation for Israel and Zionists in general. They always, whenever they funded Hamas, for example, as a counterbalance against more secular, revolutionary, socialist-aligned Palestinian liberation groups, they thought that those guys would be just as corrupt as Israeli politicians are. They thought Hamas would be more so invested in completely controlling the Palestinian population for their own benefit, for their own desires. They never thought that Hamas would bring about a force of all of the Palestinian resistance together. They did not think that Hamas would consistently advocate to release people like Marwan Barghouti, who would, if he was ever to be released from Israeli prison, would become the singular leader for all Palestinians. They never thought that Hamas would actually argue to release politicians like Palestinian resistance figures that are actually antagonistic to Hamas. That's the big problem. They thought they could fund Hamas because they're fucking reactionary, fundamentalist, Islamist guys. They could just say, oh, these guys are just like crazy ISIS-style Muslims. They thought they could present the Palestinian resistance forces like that And whenever Hamas militarily resisted against Israel's incursions in the West Bank, then they could just go back and control how high the fires burn. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu's statement was. I entirely agree with you, but I feel like so many are not ready to have those talking points yet. Thinking of my boomers at the moment, I know, but I have never shied away from saying those things. You know, I think you have to treat people like they're not stupid. And it would be as though I'm treating you like a fucking moron if I were to say, what do you expect people to do after they have been brutalized for 80 plus years? When I ask someone that question, a lot of people make that decision in their minds. If they don't see Palestinians as human beings, they say, well, you know, the way they resisted was still barbaric. If you push people in a corner and you tell them that the only way you can get out of this is to fight back, they're going to fight back. Ultimately, every single thing that I mention here is not bias. It's just an accurate reflection of historical events that have taken place. Okay? I do not have a dog in this fight beyond emancipation for Palestinians, sovereignty for Palestinians. Okay? That's what I care about. If they got their freedom, if they got their sovereignty, and they chose not to elect Hamas as their leadership, then great. Who cares? You know? Who cares? It's not up to me. It's up to them. If they choose Hamas, then they choose Hamas. Once again, it's not up to us to make this assessment. Ridiculous. Anyway, I hope this was educational for you, chatter. I don't know, because it seems like I would say that I'm okay with being shamed if it means I learn, but also okay. Why does Israel say I can't boycott them if I'm a teacher? No country should have that power. To me, that's not okay, and it's grounds for cutting ties. If you could make them reflect their politics, would you? I mean, my politics are my politics because I think it's better for the overall public good. So yeah, it would be awesome. It's like asking me if you could make the American government reflect your politics, would you? Yeah, the answer is yes. I don't know if you read it, but the chatter have family in Israel during October 7th. That's why they snapped. I know. But if that chatter was in here, when I was interviewing fucking Minister of the Knesset, Ofer Kasif, like what, 3 days after he chirped at me on like 13/10, you know, or I mean 10/13, 2023, he would have probably had a much better understanding of what the fuck is actually going on instead of leaning into his biases because of his like family relationships. Y'all, the rage bait tweet was true. Why are we getting distracted? Because I think it's still a productive conversation to have. Shut the fuck up. Okay? That's why. Sometimes, even when I get rage baited, I try to turn that into a productive incident. And this, I think, is productive. It's not even productive just because he's going to change his mind. Only time will tell if he actually does. And that's his own situation. But there are plenty of other people who might not have learned all of this stuff. Because I talk about this every day, but sometimes you don't hear me say it, you know? There's always someone who's learning new things in here. is 34 minutes away from his record of longest running one guy? No. Not even close. Hey, Blaze. It's crazy. People look at Hamas as this evil, scary group, but any form of media they grew up with showed those same resistance groups like in Star Wars or Lord of the Ring. Would you call the Jedis a terrorist group? I mean, yeah. To explain it to Americans, you got to be like, imagine a Jedi. Like, no, man. The reason why they see them as like scary, evil people is because of racism. They just think like Arabs are not human. They're like a parasitic force that's just like responding to stimuli. Okay. Only after the dust is settled and many decades have passed do liberals finally come to the conclusion that maybe they weren't these like evil guys that we thought they were. Okay? The example that obviously comes to mind is literally Star Wars. George Lucas presented the Viet Cong as the good guys in Star Wars. America was the Empire, the bad guys in Star Wars. How many people that watch Star Wars learned that lesson? Very few. No, they didn't win their election because they had Israeli state support. That's literally untrue. Hamas was supported by Israel after they won their election. Okay? And even then, there was a different purpose for it. The reason why they won their election, and you're wrong, and I'll explain to you exactly why. The reason why they won their election was because of the collapse of the so-called peace process. Okay, the back and forth negotiations conducted by Arafat up until that very moment had only led to more incursions and more expansion in Palestinian territory in the West Bank. There was a contiguous statehood offered to the Palestinians as a direct consequence of the stalemate that was presented when Palestinians tried to negotiate with Israel. They never actually had an even partnership in the negotiations process, and the United States of America constantly fucked them over. The Palestinian Authority, led by Fatah at the time, was also seen as understandably seen by Palestinians as a part of the Israeli security apparatus, even though there had been times when they'd obviously resisted against the Israeli military in like the Second Intifada, for example. But ultimately, Palestinians were fed up. There's also obviously a successful resistance force that the Palestinians had seen, a resistance force that actually was able to successfully push Israel out of their borders. You had the successes of Hezbollah, and in the aftermath of the collapse of the fucking so-called peace process, Palestinians were looking for a party that was not actually seen as collaborators with the Israeli project. Okay? When Arafat went into the peace process, he was unimaginably popular. Okay? Insanely popular. Everyone was like, this is fucking amazing. We're finally going to have statehood. By the end of that fucking process, they were like, holy shit. This thing was dangled in front of us, and it amounted to nothing. It amounted to death, and it amounted to destruction. Just filed an FBI report on you, or I'm going to do it again tomorrow. You're a fucking baboon, chatter. Okay? You are a fucking baboon. Do you understand? File 1 million FBI reports on me. I am not saying anything that is illegal, you fucking moron. You fucking donkey. You scared little bitch. You fucking coward. Suck my dick. File one every day. You think the FBI doesn't know half the shit I say? What are you, fucking stupid? Imagine like having an academic conversation about the history of resistance movements as it pertains to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and this stupid fucking idiot is like, oh, I'm telling the feds. What do you think they're going to do? Learn a thing or two about Hamas? Is that what you think is going to happen here? You fucking idiot. You spineless, immoral little cowardly worm. Oh, these things are scaring me. Please, FBI, come and get him, please. Dumbass. I can't believe it. Anyway, as I was saying, in the aftermath of the collapse of the fucking so-called peace process, Palestinians wanted an uncorruptible force. That's why Hamas won the plurality. And then after that, America, which had previously facilitated the elections to begin with, that allowed the elections to take place to begin with, realized that their guys lost. So when Fatah lost, they tried to do a coup and they failed because Hamas actually fought back and they took over complete control over the Gaza Strip. That is the story of Hamas. From 1978, when it was a Muslim Brotherhood cutout that was an Islamic charity, all the way to a militant resistance organization that evolved its tactics in resisting against the Israeli state, going from simply resisting non-violently and non-militarily to resisting militarily against military targets and police targets, to then actually, in the aftermath of the massacre, the Baruch Goldstein massacre, changing its tactics to actually directly killing civilians as well. Now, you might think it's a misstep to do that to Israeli society. I certainly do as well. There are plenty of people who have actually studied successful forms of resistance that the Western world would call terrorists. And they also sometimes are not of the same mind on this. Okay, but that doesn't matter because those things happened. And it is not on me to sit here and be like, well, I don't know. They should have done this. They should have done that. Palestinians have exhausted all matter of resistance, nonviolent resistance, violence resistance that only targets police and the military, and violent resistance that also targets civilians as well. None of it has done anything. And every single time Israel's responded with unimaginable asymmetrical violence against the entire Palestinian population. And we are now watching the last part of that unfold with open Holocaust, with the open ethnic cleansing, the live streamed Holocaust of Palestinian children every single day. So if you still have some kind of fucking confusion here, you go, oh, I don't understand, like both sides are bad. Well, then you're fucking stupid, you know? I'm sorry. You're just a stupid person. That's it. Yes, my entire family is here. Okay, chat? That's why you can hear them in the background, because they're having a conversation right there. What do you want me to do? This is why I bought a home, okay? So I could host my family whenever they wanted to. And sometimes they're here while I'm talking about the history of Hamas and Palestinian resistance movements. Anyway, I can't believe there's still motherfuckers in here that are like, I'm telling the FBI on you, dude. What are they going to do? Come suck my dick? Shut the fuck up. Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I'm not saying anything illegal. No matter how hard you wish, it should be illegal to accurately reflect on events that have unfolded throughout history. As it stands currently, thank God, it's not. These are the exact same motherfuckers that will then cynically turn around and be like, try that in China. You know? Try that shit in China, dumbass. It's like, okay, but it seems like you want this, the United States of America, to reflect those values that you ascribe to China. Anyway, I have to go. I can't even play video games. I lied again because there's too much commotion and chaos taking place in my home right now. Anyway, I have a special project that I'm filming tomorrow, and you won't be able to see it until it comes out, and I can't tell you what it is. But I love you guys, and I think it was still somewhat of a productive conversation that took place. And I'll be back on Monday, okay? I'm not going to be live tomorrow, like I said, because I have something that I'm streaming, something that I'm filming. But I will be back. I will be back on Monday. All right, I'm going to go hang out with my brother now and my family. What is happening with this fucking... Oh my God. What is happening? Peace, everybody. Bye-bye.
Sunny Los Angeles, California, says Hasan. The starlight to the starlight to the topic just begun. There he is again, Hasan is streaming. Hasan is streaming. There he is again, Hasan is streaming. Hasan is streaming. Reviewing the P.O. box, Uncle Uger's face. Sudden discord agitprop, great names take embrace. Tiny Bernie Sanders, LGBTQ Air Force.